Good morning. Today is Friday, and this is our 5th day in our new life here in Phuket. We still have a lot of stuff to do to get settled, but I'm thoroughly excited. Alright, I've been watching a lot of videos on the new Canon R1 and R5 Mark II. I have some thoughts. Now, before I share my opinion, you should know I am a Sony Shill. I have been in the Sony camp since 2015, and I'm happy with Sony cameras and lenses and stuff. So just know that. Now, just how much of a Sony Shill am I? About this much. Significant Sony Shill. I'm very much invested in Sony, so keep that in mind. Now, it's been about 4 years since the original Canon R5 was announced, and the big deal about that camera was just how high of a resolution camera body it is, and it had like really attractive, really good video features on paper. And then along came overheating, and after 2020, after the R5, have you noticed that before that camera, nobody was doing overheating, no one was doing like a long recording time 4Ks, because it didn't really used to be a feature that you had access to in these small mirrorless cameras. But after the R5, every single camera has a 4K record limit testing from an overheating perspective. Canon has corrected that in the R5 Mark II by including like a fan or a cooling mechanism in their grip. So, seems like they fixed their previous mistake. Some other stuff, they've unlocked 8K, 50 or 60 frames per second mode. This is essentially just a polished R5. And the R1, well, I mean, it's essentially a polished R3. I think it's more of a competitor to the Sony A7SIII III than it is to the A1. I think still to this day, the Sony A1 kind of is only competing with the Z8 and Z9 from Nikon. Like, you know, these offerings are very similar in terms of specs and abilities and resolution and things like that. But it feels like Canon are lagging behind a little bit. I think everyone had like big expectations and we're hoping for something like massive from the R1, you know, for it to be a competitor to Sony's A1. But really, in all honesty, it's more competing against the A7 III. I think it's a solid update from Canon, both the R5 Mark II and the R1, but it's not like a system-changing statement type of deal. I mean, the R5 originally, that was kind of almost like, that was like real statement camera. Same thing for the Sony A7SIII. I mean, 4 years later, it's still selling so well. And now in the FX3 and in the CVE1, that sensor and those capabilities live in multiple bodies and are renowned. Like, that was a system-changing announcement. Like that, those types of cameras were pivotal. Do I think the R1 and R5 Mark II from Canon are pivotal cameras? I somehow doubt a lot of people are going to be changing systems for those two cameras, but maybe if you're already in the Canon ecosystem, you're gonna have a better, more stable offering with like a few more features unlocked. And there's some like clever business stuff in there too. I think Canon also announced like a new battery standard with their new camera bodies, particularly with the R5 Mark II. So like all of the features are not accessible unless you buy the new batteries. Seems like Canon is being Canon. They're being very smart when it comes to business, but are they kind of stuffing up the customer a little bit by doing that, by making us buy more batteries, new batteries? Yeah, a little bit. Let's see if this turns out to be like a pivotal moment for Canon. In my opinion, I don't think this is a pivotal change. It's going to be very interesting to see what Sony and Nikon do in terms of replying. But to be honest, we're all spoiled by choice. Like, all cameras today are ridiculously good. Have we reached like a level in terms of sensor technology and camera manufacturing? Is this the cap? Are things going to be progressing very, very slowly from here on out? Do we need to go into some other innovations? Do they need to make us curved censored cameras with like a lot smaller lenses, but like really sharp because of the curved sensor? Like, you know, what do they need to do? Do they need to do anything? Is this enough? Is Sony gonna do the same? Are they just gonna give us like a marginally, slightly more polished products from what they're already offering? Or are they gonna really push it like they have been? I'm really hoping Sony is gonna keep pushing the envelope, because there are stakes here, and I have invested a lot of money into E-mount and Sony, so I really hope my investment and me betting on Sony is going to turn out to be a good decision. All right, that's enough rambling. In the future, this is going to be my YouTube studio. Right now, it's just the third bedroom, and it's going to continue to be that for a little bit, because we haven't quite settled on where we're going to be sleeping. Maybe here, maybe in the upstairs bedrooms. Let's see. Whatever. One of these rooms is going to be my YouTube room, and I can't wait to improve the setup. Right now, this setup is kind of silly. I literally just have this tiny aperture light just sitting on top of my camera. Like, this is comical. What are we even doing here? See you again tomorrow.